Developed by Platinum Games and published by Konami in 2013, originally for the Sony PlayStation 3 personal computer on Microsoft Xbox 360, was that of Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. Taking place a period of years after Metal Gear Solid Guns of the Patriots, Raiden is now working for a military contractor on through circumstances depicted in the game, with allies and enemies of his own in a world where the Patriots no longer exist and Solid Snake is irrelevant. After Metal Gear Solid 4 was released and the series technically concluded, Hideo Kojima had ideas for a post-Solid Snake Metal Gear universe. Originally, the concept was to have a sort of prequel, with Kojima Productions once again leading the development, where the game would instead focus on the boss from Metal Gear Solid 3, on the Cobra unit, but due to the lack of experience by the said staff that was surrounding him for the gaming project, Hideo Kojima later abandoned this idea. Another suggestion was to have a possible sequel to Metal Gear Solid 4, being that of a spin-off to the main storyline set up by Hideo Kojima's lore, established by all previous Metal Gear games that he was involved with. Raiden was originally intended to be the future of the Metal Gear franchise, but due to a combination of gamer hesitations and even resistance to the concepts, the idea was abandoned. But with the conclusion of Metal Gear Solid 4, the idea was revived and later implemented. Hideo Kojima was originally supposed to fully lead the project, but due to conflicts with Konami, his position ended up being that of a quote-unquote special consultant to the game, and most of the details with the game would be taken care of by staff that he trusted for the gaming experience. However, once the details of the game were exposed to the media, sources later highlighted that the game wouldn't be that of a true Metal Gear experience based on stealth, but the game would have been that of a typical hack and slash gaming experience. Raiden was a katana-wielding individual, and at the time, gaming technology couldn't really do the cutting and slashing motions that the developers originally desired for the game. The game's situation became dire when the conflict that Hideo Kojima had with Konami officials eventually had the project being developed by a different studio, Platinum Games, as the creative focus of the game quietly shifted from Kojima Productions to Platinum Games, as concerns for the game's quality increased. When the game was released, there were mixed reactions to the Raiden-focused Metal Gear experience, as Kojima Productions desired to build a franchise around the game and even had plans for a sequel. However, casual fans were somewhat confused with the entire experience of Metal Gear Revengeance, as it was eventually considered to be non-canonical to the established Metal Gear Solid lore. Focus on the game's dynamics and a Raiden-based story faded quickly from the gaming consciousness, but in the years and decades since its original release, the game has been reappraised and is now considered a video game that was barely or even slightly ahead of its time, and not fully appreciated during its original release and in the years since. Discussions harder that expounding upon the Metal Gear lore beyond Solid Snake and to other characters were also endearing traits or qualities that critics as well as gamers were appreciative of, and was a very important fact that helped to answer partly or fully the concerns or even theories left from a world in the Metal Gear universe without Solid Snake. Sometimes a character can be forgotten because they were intended to be a spin-off for established characters, and were later appreciated for being unique and innovative, but not necessarily acknowledged.